Bikie boys are out. Righto, so this is our little map of Australia. And as you know, we started right here in Mackay. And then we ended up, just trying to find it, we travelled southwest, which way did we go? To Blackwater. So we came down here, travelled down to Dingo to Blackwater. We kept going down onto Ralston, and then we took the Dawson Highway back east and then jumped off and went to Lake Nooga. So first stop. Then after that we came out of the Arcadia Valley, went to Injune, to Roma, and met my mother in Roma. And then we had a great pub meal at the Muckadilla pub.
We did.
And then we kicked on to Mitchell, and Mitchell was that first free camp we stayed at. And that was brilliant. So I stayed there for 2 nights, I think, from memory, 2 or 3.
3, yeah.
I think it was 2. And from there we headed to Charleville. We restocked a little bit, and then we punched on to Quilpie, where we stayed for a few days in Quilpie.
At the lake.
At the lake, and it was absolutely beautiful. From there we headed south onto Thargomindah. We spent a few days there catching up with Brendan Blackford and having a look around that joint a little bit. Then we went from there and we crossed over to Nakundra Hotel. We had a great lunch there before taking this Warry Gate track down to the actual Warry Gate and into New South Wales. And this is where, just outside of Tibooburra, we spent the night on the bitumen.
On the Silver City Highway.
That's right.
In the Sturt National Park.
After a mad storm. Then from there we stayed at Tibooburra, and then we had planned to do a lot of these little national parks. We were planning to go to the Corner. That road was closed. We were going to go all around Sturt National Park, couldn't. So we kept heading south, and then all the roads off to, we were going to go to White Cliffs first, but all the roads there were done. So we just thought, oh, well, we'll go on to Broken Hill, down the Silver City Highway to Broken Hill, where we caught up for my nonna and my uncle and auntie and cousin, and checked out Silverton and a couple of other little things. Basically gave Michelle a bit of a tour of the old home town. So from Broken Hill, and we did have a lot of bad weather in Broken Hill, so the main reasons, or the only reason really, we couldn't visit such places as Mudawinji National Park, Peru Darling, all those sorts of places on the way down, was purely due to weather. All the national parks started closing as this whole sort of area started getting flooded. So we had a window of opportunity to get out to Menindee. So we went out to Menindee for a few days, and that was brilliant. So we stayed there for 4 or 5 nights.
5 nights. Before
going back into Broken Hill for another few days, and then we kicked on. By this time, we learned that White Cliffs was open, and that all this area down on the Murray River, our first plan, was all flooding. So we decided we'll backtrack a little bit and go up to White Cliffs. And that was brilliant, and that's where we got smashed by that mad dust storm. Anyway, so we were in White Cliffs for a few days as well, for 4 or 5 days.
4 nights, 5 days.
4 nights, 5 days. And then again, all these national parks were closed due to the weather and flooding. So we came out of there and we called the insurance, and we had to find a new awning and a major centre, and we found one in Orange, which is all the way over here. So we headed east, we stayed at Cobar, and that drive that day, we were getting absolutely pumped by storms, and the road behind us actually closed just before we got into Cobar, so we're pretty lucky, and we got our first motel stop in Cobar. So that was pretty funny. But anyway, we kicked on, came down. Next, we stayed at Parks. So stayed at the showground in Parks just for 1 night. And that wasn't too bad. We had a little bit of reprieve with the weather there.
We got a rainbow there.
We did get a rainbow. It did rain, but it did gave us a nice morning to pack up dry and a nice evening. Then, as I said, we kicked on to Orange. We got our new awning sorted and booked into a caravan park, and I installed the awning and got rid of the old one. The guys at BCF there were really good, and that was all sorted. So then we kicked on to Bathurst because I thought, well, let's go around Mount Panorama. So we did that, on our way to Grenfell, where we were able to book into Weddon Mountains National Park.
Part of it was open.
And that was brilliant. So yeah, half of that park was closed, but the western side was all good. So we went in there and spent 4 or 5 days again.
4 days?
4 days, yeah. And yeah, that was excellent. So after then, we headed south to Young and then on to Wagga Wagga and caught up with my uncle for 4 days. And that was brilliant. Had a great time there, and it always is a good time there. And yeah, we'll manage to restock and get the batteries all charged up and everything charged up again, punch out a couple of videos, and yeah, catch up with the family there. And then we left Wagga Wagga to meet one of my longest time friends in Tumut with me mate Swanee. So I caught up with Swan Dog and we camped at the Blowering Dam just outside of town.
We camped just outside of town on the Blowering Dam. And yeah, we stayed there for again, what, 3 days I think. Yeah, beautiful free camp.
Absolutely
again.
beautiful,
Yeah.
along the Blowering Dam. And from there, we went up the hills and we went to Long Plain Hut. And we were camped there for 3 days. And that was absolutely beautiful. My first taste of proper high country. And it was just so good. Again though, we were smacked with weather again. And from there, we followed the road down to Adamimimby, and then on to Berrydale, and then to Jindabyne. We restocked at Jindabyne, and then we met Michelle's parents at a place called Ngarigo Campgrounds, just outside Thredbo. So we stayed there for 3 days. And we went up to the Australia's rooftop. We climbed up the top. We tried to get a glimpse of Mount Kosciuszko, but the day's weather was not the best visibility for that, but we did climb just shy of it anyway, so that was really good. And it was still snowing up there, and it was just a great day and great experience. And then the next morning we woke up to full snow. So the whole high country area right down to almost the coast apparently had about 10 to 20 centimetres of snow that night. And yeah, it was something else to wake up to. But anyway, from there we headed back out and we camped at Gehi, and that was just before Cancoban, and that was an absolutely magical spot. We only camped there for 1 night and didn't do much filming because, I don't know, we were seeing it for the first time and experiencing it.
And all the family got together.
Yeah, and we're just having catch up, so. But anyway, we'll be back there definitely, because at Gehi, there's so many walking trails, so many 4-wheel drive trails all through this high country. A lot of them are impassable at the moment just because of creek levels and road damage, but we'll definitely get back here. As I said in other videos, Michelle's family know the high country like the back of their hand, so we'll be definitely back up here. But from here, we went to Albury, or Wodonga I should say. We restocked, caught up with Michelle's nephews before we headed up to Bright to fuel up, and then we headed up the hills again into High Plains, where Michelle's brother was getting married. And we checked into a loft there. We had nice little accommodation, got it on the pretty cheap actually, which was good. And that was excellent staying up there. Again, experienced snow, saw a couple of really good huts, and just that whole drive up to
through Hotham and
through
down
Hotham.
to Plain.
Oh, it's a mental road. The motorcyclists and cyclists alike, they just love it. And you know, the high powered sports cars love it up there too. But yeah, and then from there, we said goodbye to everyone and we're on our own for the first time since late Nuga Nuga. We came via Omeo, and now we are currently camped at the CRB camping ground in the Alpine National Park, and that's where we are after 8 weeks.
Another amazing free camp on the Midamida River. It's incredible.
It is.
Yeah, the free camping you can do in the most spectacular parts of the country. Yeah, can't believe it. Can't believe how lucky we are.
It's unreal, eh?
Yeah.
So yeah.